Good morning, America. What a beautiful day. I woke up to such beauty. Well, I've been up for a while. I was on the phone with my daughter, but had 2 cups of coffee already. Beautiful colors. Last night the elks were just bugling over here. So right out somewhere around here or over there somewhere. So I'm gonna walk out here and see. If there's any signs. I woke up this morning, I was thinking about, I wonder if it's this time of year for them to drop their horns. Because the elk antlers are huge. Not quite as big as moose, but man, they're big. We had some elk antlers in our lodge in Idaho years ago when I was a kid, and it was so amazing. Would love to get some elk antlers, some big ones. I display them beautifully up there on the dome wall or something. But the funny thing is, I woke up this morning after thinking about that, kind of almost dreaming about it, and then I woke up this morning and Barry was sitting there with deer antler. She had found an antler from a deer that dropped. So I hadn't even seen a deer since I've been here. But evidently there's deer here. 2. Of course, you don't hear the deer. They don't bugle. The elks make this beautiful sound. For like a couple of months, they're just bugling around everywhere. I've been noticing these little weeds. It's just kind of interesting the way these little puffs. I like them. Pretty. A lot of little puffy puffs of different kinds. You know, different kind of puffs for different people, I guess. It's really warm. You know, here we are almost, what is it? November? Almost. And it's warm like summer, you know, 70 degrees or something. So, I don't know, the weather's not quite as bad as I thought it would be around here. It gets cold at night, but during the day the sun shines. I'm quite a ways south, you know. Even though I'm 8,000 feet on my property, 8,000 feet. Quite high. So it will definitely get pretty cold, you know, in the winter. And I mean, you know, in the evening or at night. Oh, beautiful bird just flew out of there. But then it warms up when the sun comes out. There's not a lot of clouds during the winter, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, I'm from New Mexico. I've lived in the area a long time. But I'm on the other side now of Mexico. I lived on the other side of New Mexico. A little red-headed woodpecker. What do you call him? Hey, you work on that old dead tree. You don't come near my live trees. Red-headed woodpecker. He's gonna decide where he's gonna start pecking here in a minute. He ain't quite decided yet. The mascara on that dog. I think this is probably the time of year they drop their antlers, because the buglers, the males, are out here bugling, beating their breasts, and probably trying to see who's king, you know, king of the harem. And then they lock their horns and they drop their antlers. So that's why I kind of was thinking there might see an antler. But a lot of times you'll only get one antler, and they won't drop the other one for quite a ways away, and you never find the other one. You find them both, it's kind of, sometimes when they're just ready to go, and they'll lock horns with another animal, and they just come off both of them right in the same spot. And sometimes, and they're usually really big ones that do that, because they're the ones fighting, locking horns. But I mean, all of them lose their horns. But they're just surrounding my property, bugling. So I know there's a bunch of them bugling and fighting over in this area. You know, something I was thinking about that I wanted to mention to you guys, how important it is, because you don't hear anything about it. Not proper information about it. You hear, when I mention this, you'll see what I mean, but you do hear about it lately. It's a big thing. It's a big fad. Everybody's taking collagen. And they swear by it, and they say, oh, it'll prove this and it'll prove that. And, you know, I bought some myself, and I was sitting there thinking, wait a minute, I got duped again, because what is this stuff, collagen? That's like saying, oh, here, take this vitamin E pill. But they don't tell you there's several kinds of vitamin E. And if you take one without the other, you're depleting yourself of the other. So it's a kind of a game. I don't believe in vitamins. I don't believe in supplements or anything like that. I mean, it can be good if you know exactly what you need and you do it for a period of time. However, it's best to eat the right food. Maybe for people who cannot get certain minerals or vitamins or nutrients in their diet, and they just have to take, they don't get enough sunshine, they take vitamin D3, that's fine. I think maybe people should take K2 if they're not getting enough, but the best thing is to eat fish and meat and milk and eggs, nuts and things that have all of this. So I was thinking, okay, wait a minute, collagen. You know, I wasn't even thinking about it. It's like, okay, what is that? It's like meat, tendons, skin, all throughout the muscle, the little tendons. I guess they say that animal protein is made up about 30% collagen. So think about it. When they tell you, oh, well, you don't need meat, you can get protein in vegetables. Now, think about what they're saying. Because Jesus gave us fish, and fish is not an animal, by the way. It's interesting how fish is so full of all these nutrients we need. But and if you eat the skin on the fish, you get plenty of collagen there. But they haven't done any studies or anything like that. So if you just took collagen, some powdered mix, and we don't even know where to get it. We don't know if it's assimilated much. But we do know that it's in broth. That's where you would really get most of it. And people used to make broth. They used to make soup every day. Put a chicken in the soup, or a roast or something, meat. That way you doesn't just, when you cook it, the oil goes out and you drain the meat and you eat just, even if you get fatty hamburger, you know, you're not getting the proper kind of fat to build your fat tissue. But one of the things I had never really been mentioning is you need protein, you need certain kind of fat. So this hydrogenated fat, you know, is killing people. But a big thing that I hadn't even thought about is just 30% of the protein that's collagen. Collagen's in your face. It's going to build your heart, your lung, your tissues, your brain. If you don't have enough of this on a daily basis, then you can't repair your eyes and your heart and your brain. And that's important. And by the way, you're also aging really fast because your skin and the plumpness of your skin, the youthfulness, comes from that. And so I don't believe aging is something that just happens. It's not a thing. People that look aged are missing nutrients for years on a daily basis. Not just one day you didn't get enough collagen, but 20, 30 years you didn't eat meat, no fish, no eggs. So your hair starts falling out first. Your eyes go dim. You start getting wrinkles. Your bones hurt. You can't walk. You have arthritis. Oh, well, let's just put a plastic joint in there. No, this is evil. This is ridiculous. You've got to eat fish with the skin every day. Eggs. And I think in the time and the days in which we live, especially for me, because some people were not accustomed to eating fish. I don't live on the ocean. There's no really rivers around here. I don't go fishing. I wouldn't eat foods that you get at the store. So I have to get it myself. I can raise chickens. As I've said before, fish aren't animals. They were made on a different day. You can't give them a sacrifice because they're not a life. They don't have a soul. They're closer to plant life. So if you're wanting to live the diet of the millennial, which is what we're going to eat during the millennial, just eat fish. Perhaps, you know, certain kinds of animals like locusts or something. I don't know. Maybe shrimp and stuff. I don't know about that kind of thing. I know people eat it and it seems to be fine. Don't know if crustaceans are better. They seem to be very healthy for you. Crabs and things. See the elk. But we got to get hog collagen, and I don't think it's a good idea to experiment with some powder mixture. I think you need to start eating boiling chickens in, in a pot, or fish. Boiling the whole skin and everything in a pot. Clam chowder or something. Eat that every day. But I don't think we're in the millennial yet, so as Paul says, it's still, in this world, we're in an imperfect world, we can eat chicken and fish, which might not be, now, I mean, not chicken, just fish, but I say chicken because in reality they're a low intelligent, they're creatures, yes, but in the cycle of this world that we live in, life and the death cycle that we live in, I don't think it's improper. And the Apostle Paul said it's okay to eat meat. And if you just eat vegetables, you're going to get ill, sick. And I believe that. We can't live long in this world. Now, some people don't want to. Many of the early disciples just ate vegetables. And Paul said many Christians in those days, like the Essenes, they just ate vegetables. But they didn't plan on living too long in this world anyway. But you remember we were talking about yesterday when John, the baptizer, went down into the water and Jesus stepped in. He was going to get baptized. And the waters dried up, and along the banks were all these fish and birds. You see fish and birds in that picture that I put in that video the other day. And John's lying there like dead. Laid out, ascending to heaven and experiencing this great vision. Why fish and birds? Because John's on the earth. He's going through the baptism of this existence, through all these different avatars. The fish is the lower realm. And they were singing, harmonized. We're all at one. The birds represent the higher, the angels, the higher life. So John was in the middle. And he was going through this existence. There's three realms, the three heavens. The fish is the lower realms. And the birds are the higher realms. You see this imagery throughout a lot of parables. In Daniel, we have a tree that's like an ecological system that the birds nested in its branches, and underneath the boughs, the little animals took refuge. It's a system, an ecological system, the whole universe, not just this world. The spiritual, the physical, and the soulical. And we learned that the soul is not your life, that's your spirit. But it's this particular avatar life, this little experience that we're going through. That's what it is. I don't even see any elk droppings from last night. I don't know where they were. So, until the millennium begins, we're allowed to eat meat, and it's actually healthy for us in this condition. We're going to have a different existence in the millennium, and there will be two different existences there, because there will be certain ones that will have immortality, and there will be some who won't. We know that the lamb will lie down with the wolf, the lion will eat straw. So there's not going to be any animals eating each other. But Ezekiel mentions that we will be eating fish, along with the trees of life. And Jesus brought us fish. And he was the good shepherd. He didn't kill the sheep. There's no mention of him having a lamb. He says, I will not eat of this Passover with you until I eat of it anew. Until I drink the new wine. Not this old wine in the kingdom. So they drank new wine, which wasn't alcoholic. It was different. And the Bible's very specific. It mentions the honey, the fish, and the bread. As we said, bread is not wheat bread. It's all the vegetation, yucca, lentils, beans, nuts, berries, whatever they could put into it, and they made a loaf. And the wine didn't necessarily mean grape juice. He made wine out of dates, out of hops, out of different things. And it wasn't always, the new wine was freshly squeezed berries and different kinds of juices. So wine, though it does primarily, in some cases it means usually grape, but it doesn't have to mean that. And in the mystery schools, they didn't use grape. They used some kind of a honey, and this is why he gave them honey. The honey was from the daffodils, and it was very psychedelic. The herbs are for the healing of the nations. And right now, if you don't get enough collagen in your, and omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids and protein, animal protein, and animal iron, hemi-iron, the kind of iron that you get out of vegetables can't be assimilated very well in the body, and it doesn't build muscle tissue based. It doesn't rebuild your brain and your heart. It's for some, it can help you in some way. So you go and you get a test and you say, oh, you're low in iron. Well, if you're low in iron, you're really low in the only kind of iron that can actually even help you, hemi-iron. You probably haven't eaten meat. That's why people get dark circles under their eyes. You're low in iron means you're low in a lot of different things. Things that you would get in meat. And you're just aging quickly. You're dying. Your hair's going to start falling out. Your skin's going to start getting wrinkled. The arthritis. But since we're about to go into the millennial, and I think we'll just eat fish during that time, and no, because it's going to take time. We don't just get changed immediately. Our bodies take time to change. The twinkling of an eye thing is symbolic. We'll go into that another day. When the sun rises on the horizon, or when it goes down over the horizon, in astrology they call that a twinkling of an eye. It's a little glimmer of light. So we rise onto the horizon in a little twinkle. That expression is what it means. And I think the change will happen. Here's the elk poo-poo. So here's where they were. You might see elk antlers laying around here somewhere. So there will be a change in the earth. The whole world's going to be gone. And all the great multitude will have literally passed away and be given immortality. They're given their white robes. That happens in an instant too, but not in one life. You have to leave this body to have the immortal body. You die that you might live. Now, the 144,000 have changed at the twinkle of the eye. I think what that means is that we never were fallen anyway. It's a system that changes. And as soon as the evil demonic spirits are removed, the lust of the flesh is gone. Our bodies will be transformed. Everything on this earth is going to be changed. Just like when the flood, there was a canopy of water that mist would go up from the ground and water the earth. And once that water came down, everything changed. We see that people used to live much longer lives, and it was a big change. So we're going to go through a change. More poo-poos. Look for antlers. So the change hasn't happened yet. Paul says that if you have faith, you can do all things. We're not worried about the physical things. We're worried about the spiritual. But if you are spiritual, it's probably going to be difficult for you to go out and murder an animal. And since Christ is coming soon, I suggest to do what Jesus told us and eat fish and eggs. He said eggs were the perfect food. Jesus told us that. He said bread, eggs, and fish. And this honey, which is some kind of a, it's mentioned a couple of times, even in the Old Testament, where Jonathan, he's on his horse and he reaches his spear down and he dips some of the little honey. It was the honey of the land. And they were not supposed to indulge in any of the, delicacies of the land until they had finished the battle. So he was in trouble, but it wasn't really much. It was just a little honey from an area where there are a lot of daffodils and other different kinds of plants. The honey is enlightening. Literally, it will enlighten your mind. So that's what it means. In fact, there was a whole priesthood called the Melissai. And so there's some allusion there to the priesthood of Artemis. Dionysius turned the water into wine. That's Jesus. As we said, Dio means deity. Dion means deity. And Isa means Jesus. So it's the same name. It's the name that Jesus had. That's who Dionysius is. And the original Dionysius is Elisha, the one who received the double portion of authority and power from Elijah and started the school of prophets in Syria. So we need the herbs for the healing of the nations, friends. It's very important. It isn't just mental, expansion or enlightenment. It's physical well-being. There are nutrients in the herbs that can only be partaken of through heating them up or certain ways that people partake of herbs, making teas in some way. Most herbs have to be brought to a temperature in order to activate these ingredients. So don't be afraid of making soup. Soup is a very important part of existence. We need it. It breaks down all the collagen. Put some bones, some animal bones in chicken or fish into a pot. And put some vegetables in there, some onions, usually, leeks, garlic, squash or something, and potatoes. And that soup will have all the collagen you need and make your skin bright and repair your heart and your brain, and you'll live. You can repair from anything. I am an eyewitness of that. Anything that you have wrong with you, or cancer or anything, diabetes, it can all be healed when you start eating the right foods. Sometimes it takes several months or a year or two, but you'll start noticing that you're healing whatever it is, whatever ailment or whatever. Here's another important little tidbit. Interesting that I started talking about all this because I hadn't planned on it, because I did want to do a video on health and I didn't have time because we're going through all these other things. But a very important herb is milk thistle, because as you get older, lots of people, if you haven't been eating right, you've drank or you smoked or whatever about your life, your liver's damaged. They call it scar tissue, but I don't know that that's actually what it is. That's what they're calling it. I think it's just that the liver hasn't been rebuilding properly because you haven't been eating the collagen and the fatty acids and proteins, the animal proteins, certain nutrients that you get from meat, the B vitamins, tyrosine, cysteine or something. There's another one, a couple of different ones. All the minerals have to be animal-based minerals. So vegetables have certain things, but it's not assimilated into the body. You have to have animal protein and animal fat and collagen. If you haven't been doing that, your heart's starting to get weak, the muscle's getting weak, it's not repairing properly. Now the body will repair the muscles of the heart before it'll repair anything else in your body. That's why first thing it goes is your hair and your skin. But you want to be youthful, you need to eat this. You can't get it in a can, in a plastic bottle. You need to eat it. Just have some soup. And if you're like me, I don't even care that much for fish, but you can put fish in a pot and with some vegetables and just eat the vegetables and just drink the juice. You're still getting the collagen and proteins and things in there. And the fats, which is important to get. Oh, how beautiful. That dog got the prettiest face. You got all this mascara, huh? Show me your face. I've never seen a dog quite like that. And he's gonna be big. He's like twice as big as the other puppies. I think he's got sheepdog in him. The two fluffy ones. This one here, he's got a little sheepdog in him too. Because that was one of the dogs I seen messing around. Oh. What do you got in your mouth? Did you see that? What did you have in your mouth? It was your tongue? Oh, well, you can get down some other way. Oh. I don't know what it is about rocks and canyons, flowers, cacti, ponderosas. I feel so at peace hiking around back in here. Oh, here comes a dog. How'd you get up there? That's Happy. You're Happy. How you doing, Happy? He's the cutest thing in the whole world, isn't he? Oh, don't fall. Come on down. And Snoopy, and little one. And Bubba. And Fluffy. And this big old Mama Berry wrestling with her babies. So if you want to start just eating fish, you can still be very healthy on that. If you can be a vegetarian, you're still actually a vegetarian. Because fish were made on the 4th or 5th day, and the same day I think it was like the plants. Whereas the souls, the avatars, the lives, the consciousnesses, the living beings, souls, were made on the 6th day. And the crowning creation of all of that on the 6th day was man. But all the animals were made on the 6th day. Now there are souls in the ocean, like dolphins and whales, so you wouldn't eat them. Those are souls, those are lives, and you can offer them in sacrifice, a life for a life, soul for a soul. But you couldn't offer fish, you could offer birds. Birds have souls. All birds, doves and pigeons, which is interesting, and they're pretty smart, these creatures. You know, they talk and everything. You've ever seen a a raven or a crow. They can do complicated mathematical. They can figure out how to get food out of a box where they have to use the tools. They'll use their beak and find a way to get it open. About as smart as monkeys, you know. But fish, you know, we've been told that they're the same. They're just animals, but they're not animals. They're not mammalian. They don't have teats. They don't suckle their young. They don't have mammalian glands. Dolphins do, and that would be considered an animal. So fish are not, you can eat fish and still be healthy. But if you do eat meat, like, you know, goats and sheep and deer and buffalo, whatever, you're not sinning, because we're under the laws of this world, and we're not concerned about the flesh. It's passing away. What we're trying to do is develop the love and everything. So I understand some people who are Christians. I'm told even James the Just only ate seeds and nuts. Paul himself said, well, that's good. Whatever you have faith to do. I mean, James may have felt it was necessary because he loved the animals, and he just didn't want to participate, and he didn't think it was important to maintain his body because he felt like maybe he had a, you know, premonition, or the Lord told him he was going to be martyred soon. He was trying to get out of here and go to heaven anyway. So I get that. But Paul, who spoke by Holy Spirit, said not to argue with those who eat meat, not to condemn them, to fellowship with them, and they're still your brother. And whatever you know, if you have faith, knowing that it's all just in the mind and the flesh is not all that's important, then, you know, you sin not. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. We didn't see any elk antlers. It's too bad. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.